Hey GolfPass, Devin Bonebreak here, coming to you with my favorite short game tip for chipping. So important to be good with your short game around the greens to lower your scores. Here's a fault I see with a lot of students that are trying to hit chip shots. It starts with the setup. Because they're trying to get the ball in the air from a flat lie, they tend to actually lean their upper body back in an idea that they're gonna hoist it in the air. The problem is this is gonna tend to make them hit behind the ball, then hit maybe the top of the ball, and the club's gonna get very elevated after they hit it. So here's what you need to do. 2 steps to this. I'm gonna have you set up with the ball middle slightly back in the stance, and then I want you to take the club and place it right on your sternum. From here, you're gonna put pressure into your lead foot until the club is slightly in front of the ball. This is where your weight needs to be throughout the motion. Once we do this, you're gonna be set for success. Now, what's even more important to allow the club to stay low to the ground after impact and not come up is to imagine that you're gonna hit 4 golf balls in a row. So if I had 3 more golf balls after that first one, all set up in front of this ball, that's what I want you to imagine you're doing when you're hitting this chip shot. You're gonna hit all 4 of them in a row. The club's gonna stay nice and low, and that's gonna allow you to hit a much more solid crisp shot with a little bit of spin. So you're gonna take your setup, check your sternum, make sure it's in front, imagine that you're gonna hit 4 balls, check your target, and execute.
Hey GolfPass, Chris Como here, and I'm gonna show you a drill that I learned from 2 great coaches, Tyler Farrell and John Sinclair. The idea is that we're gonna learn how to take the hands and arms out of the pitching motion. We're gonna do what's called a flat-handed drill. So we're gonna put our trail hand up against the shaft, open that grip up, and the idea is to make a motion to where that shaft is not gonna come off that trail hand. So the incorrect way would be to go this way with it, where your lead hand is pulling off the trail hand, it's pulling the shaft off the trail hand. They're gonna all go together and let your body really control the motion through the shot. It's gonna be a better way to control the club head speed through impact. It's just gonna create a better bottom. Lots of great benefits from this. So let's give this one a go. That felt really nice. Again, I had to use all the motion through my chest, my hips, just kind of going with everything, letting the club just travel with that. All right, let's do one more. And this is something we can also do for longer shots. We can do it for 40 yards, 50 yards. It's even things that can help our full swing a bit. So I'm gonna hit a little bit of a longer one on this one, probably over the green. It's a great way to help your pitching as well. It's one of the best drills out there. Tyler Farrell and John Sinclair, they've also used it for some of the full swing stuff. So as you make bigger motions, you can have that, and it's gonna really help your sequencing in general. Just take away any sort of initial transition in the arms. It's really allowing the hips and the body to work correctly with the correct synchronization of the arms to the club. I think it's gonna help your game. I want you to try that next time you're out at the short game to start. Start with the little ones, then go to the pitches, and then eventually you can play with it on your full swing.
Hey GolfPass, I'm Clay Ballard. And we all know the coolest shot in golf, it's when you pitch it 30, 40, 50 yards, it grabs immediately, that one hop and stop, maybe even wants to spin back a little bit. It's the coolest shot, none of your buddies can hit it, and I wanna get you to hit it today. All right, so here's the big deal with this. You wanna use a lot of loft on this club, but that's because you're gonna be taking loft off. A lot of people get this wrong. They think that I'm gonna try to open the face, and then I'm gonna try to have a lot of loft at contact, have this face almost pointing up toward the sky at contact, and that's gonna get it to loft up in the air, and then it's gonna stop. Well, when you do that, when you have that much loft on the shot, if I go ahead and hold this ball here, I imagine having this face wide open, it's more like a flop shot. And what ends up happening is if we get too much loft on the club, it just slides up the face. So no matter how clean you hit it, it never really grabs the grooves and makes it spin. You see what the pros are doing is they're taking their 60-degree wedge, and you could use a 56 with this also, but they're gonna take that 60-degree wedge and they're gonna lean the shaft forward about 15 or 20 degrees. So when they actually hit this shot, they have about 40 to 45 degrees of loft on the club at contact. Now that's actually pretty easy to do if you get a couple pieces of the technique right. Now first off, this is a little bit of a longer shot. You don't want to do this inside 30 yards. This is a 30 to 100 yard shot or somewhere around in there. It's going to be a pretty nice speed on this. Next, I want to open my feet. If I have my feet square, it's very tough to get my hands in front enough at contact. I want to go ahead and open my feet. That way I can really let my body pivot. My knees are going to rotate toward the target, and that's going to make it easy for me to get my hands in front. Now the second thing is, I don't want to fall back into the shot. So many players that I see, they try to spin it and they end up falling back They drop kick it, they hit the ground back here and then hit up into the ball, it shoots over the green. Super frustrating. I want to make sure my shirt buttons are actually in front of the golf ball on the backswing and on the follow through. And lastly from here, I want to make sure that I really get a lot of speed, a lot of action into this. I want to feel like my knees, my hips, my chest all accelerate through this shot, and I want to be very aggressive through it. I almost want to feel like I'm really, like these grooves are almost like saw blades, and I'm trying to just get that to grab the ball, get a lot of spin on it. So let's go ahead and try one out here. Feet are open, chest is in front. I'm gonna have the hands really lean in front, and I'm gonna be very aggressive with this. I'm gonna go to this back pin. Let's see if we can knock it all the way back there and get some good spin on it. There we go, not too bad. Right on the hill, checked up. Hey, I'm pretty daggone happy with that. So if you follow those tips, you're gonna spin it and your buddies are gonna be so mad because you're gonna be able to do that every time and they're never gonna be able to do it because they're not using the right technique.
Hi GolfPass, I'm Amy Cho. As you move away from the green, now I have about 40 yards to the flag, and we call this more of a pitch shot instead of a chip shot. So I'm going to show you the difference between a pitch and a chip shot. So in the setup, now the swing gets bigger to try and fly it all the way 40 yards. Now you're still going to choke down on the grip a little bit for better control of the club, and you're going to have fairly narrow stance but wider than say a small chip shot. You're gonna have to be able to fit about 2 fists between your big toes, and you're going to have your stance slightly opened about 5 degrees so the whole entire body alignment is left of the flag. And now the ball position is going to be either in the middle or slightly left of the middle, and we're going to keep the weight in the front left foot about 60% or so and keep it there in the backswing. If you shift your weight ever so slightly in your pitch shots, you can sometimes get stuck back here and end up with a bad shot or a skull miss shot, and we don't want those. So remember to really anchor it down on your front leg. And now I have a 58 degree here. To carry it about 35 yards, I'm going to make a swing about this big. So now when the swing starts to get big compared to a smaller chip shot where we were just using your shoulder rock, now you have to use a little bit more of the body turn. But a lot of the amateurs make mistake here of using too much of the arms because it's not a full swing and you can skull it across or hit it fat. We don't want that. So using the body is crucial here, and especially because we're not using a lot of hip turn in a pitch shot, you really have to move your body well. And I'm going to show you my favorite drill, towel drill. I have a towel right here. All you're going to do is you're just going to stick this guy under your armpits across your chest like this, and you're gonna start pitching. So let's try how good I do on this one. Oof, that turn felt really good actually. So with this towel drill, what happens is it's really forcing you to turn your body like this. If you're doing this drill and you feel really uncomfortable and you're not able to hit the shot, that means you're using too much of your arms. So once you get used to this towel drill, I want you to do a ton of it. Now you're going to go ahead and take it off and hit some normal pitch shots. All right, with the 58, remember, weight left, keep it there, big body turn back and forth. A lot of amateurs tend to hit several shots to get it close to the flag from about 40 yards out. So to improve your pitching, try this towel drill. It'll help you save a lot of shots by getting it on that putting surface just like that.
Today I'm going to give you some solid basic fundamentals for chipping to hit a solid shot here, because you've missed the green, and the worst thing for my students is they hit it thin, fat, and can't get up and down. So with these basic setup fundamentals, you should be able to have a solid strike. That's our main goal here. To understand first that the club is just going to work this way in chipping. Here's what we don't want. We don't want a normal setup and you're far away and the club to start to make an arc around your body. So again, remember, solid strike on the golf ball. So we're going to get closer to the golf ball in order for the shaft to look more like this. When you step in nice and close, choke down on the club, and the heel of the club will be off the ground. Again, don't worry about it. There's reasons for this. It's fine. The stroke is really short and slow, so there'll be no problem. And also, it pretty much ensures that the club will glide through the grass and won't get stuck in the grass. So choke down, get nice and close to the golf ball. I like a narrow stance. This isn't a shot where we're hitting it a mile. It's going to get on the green as soon as possible and roll out. It's also a shot that stays very low to the ground. So we don't need a lot of movement in your body. So feet very close together. The weight in your feet is going to be slightly forward, about 60-40 or 70-30. Not 50-50, and certainly not in your trail leg unless you're hitting some crazy golf shot and you need to do it. So ball middle to forward in your stance, stance narrow, weight forward, shaft up, and then your only goal, because of this great setup, is to strike the grass after the golf ball. You're going to brush the grass. The only other caveat I'm going to say in the setup is many students know they should put their weight forward, but then their upper body tilts back. So that's a mistake. So the sternum and your lower body either on top of the ball, or if that's a mistake you make, air in front of the golf ball. And that will also ensure that you hit the ground after the golf ball. So that's a really good chip shot, almost went in, very low to the ground. You can hear the strike is solid. Now under pressure, this setup is far superior to wide stance club at a normal angle. This is my pitching wedge, far superior. So under the gun, choose this setup to ensure a solid strike for chipping.
Hello GolfPass, Martin Hall coming to you here with some letters. I have found in my years of teaching, if I can get people to do something with maybe some letters arranged in an order, it's easy to get big changes. And the letters today are going to be LED, FOB. LED, FOB. 3 letters plus 3 letters will lead to a lot more solid contact. LED plus FOB to make really solid shots around the green. What does LED mean? It means lead eye down. Lead eye a little lower than your trail eye. Why would you do that? It helps you get the ball before you brush the ground. If you were RED, rear eye down, code red I call that, RED, then you're liable to get the ground on this side of the ball. Now we want to be LED. I'd want you to be lead eye down, just slightly. Know that your lead eye is slightly closer to the ground than your trail eye. Puts the weight a bit on your lead side, so like that. So LED, lead eye down. Second part of my imaginary word, lead fob. Look at the FOB front of the ball. Lead eye down, LED, FOB, front of ball. If you are LED and you are FOB, front of ball, it's very easy. I'm going to take my practicing right by the golf ball here, and you'll see when I go LED, lead eye down, and I look front of ball, look where I scuff the ground. You can see that it's easy for me to get the scuff on this side of the ball. What does that do? Pretty much guarantee good contact. LED, FOB, an easy way to remember how to get that setup to be correct. So I'm setting up, LED, FOB, and let's see if I can hit one from here. So from LED, FOB, can I hit a nice, crisp shot? Yes, I can. It's running in there nicely. I'm going to hit another one. I think I can hit it just a little firmer than that, a little slower than I anticipated. LED, FOB, here we go. That one's better. Just running out. Couldn't have clipped that any better at all. Just simple thought, simple works best. LED, FOB will help you chip and pitch the ball much better, especially off not very good lies.
Today we're going to talk about how to hit the perfect pitch shot around the green. So first we have to actually talk about what a pitch shot is. This is a shot that spends more time in the air than it does on the ground. So it's going to carry about maybe 70% or so of the way to the hole at least, and it should stop fairly quickly on the green. Now, in order to set up for this shot, we need the club to sit very straight up and down on the ground. If you start to press your hands too far forward here, you will activate the leading edge of the club, which will start to dig too much, and that's gonna not be very good for hitting these high shots. So we wanna use what's actually called the bounce on the back of the club, and we activate the bounce by having our hands be very even with the club head versus ahead of the club. The one mistake I see quite a few people making when they're doing this shot is that the club, they try and swing the club too much up and then up again. So they're almost trying to lift the ball and the club is moving too much straight back and straight through. So I've got this great drill here that you can do with 2 alignment sticks. You're gonna put them on the ground at just a little bit of an angle near the golf ball. So it's almost making a little bit of a triangle shape here. And what it's gonna remind you to do is to swing just a little bit around your body as you go back and through. We don't want the club swinging too much in and out away from you, and we don't want it swinging too much out to in, but just a little bit of an arc on either side of your body here is gonna help you hit these shots really solidly so that they stop when they hit the green. So again, I'm gonna set up with the ball right in the middle of my feet here. Feet are nice and close together. Most important that we activate the bounce by having the club sit nice and straight up and down on the ground. And then the last piece is when we're swinging, I want you to really feel like the butt end of the club stays pointed at your body on this shot. If we start to get too flippy this way with our hands through impact, you're also gonna have quite a few miss hits, so that's not gonna be a good thing for you on the golf course. Let's go ahead and set up and see if we can hit one of these shots. So feet are nice and close, club is very straight up and down. Got the butt of the club pointed at my body, and then I'm gonna make sure that I'm turning and keeping that pointed at me the whole time. Okay, so that was a pretty good shot. It spent more time in the air than it did on the ground, which is what we're looking for here. You might use this shot if you have to go up and over something, or maybe if you're playing into a raised green and you don't want to hit that low shot. But this shot should stop fairly quickly for you, and it's a great one to have on the golf course.
Hey GolfPass, I'm John Montgomery, and today we're here on the chipping green at Mission Inn Resort and Club. And I want to talk to you about the bounce of a wedge. You've probably heard the term before. It's the little number on your wedge. It's usually just underneath or somewhere off to the side of the actual loft of the club. So you can see here I have a 60-degree wedge, and there is 8 degrees of bounce on this club. And what that means is that the angle in between the leading edge and the trailing edge is 8 degrees. And the higher the number, the more forgiveness you have with a wedge. So if you're somebody who's just getting starting out in golf, you're going to want a higher bounce club. It's going to make the leading edge sit higher off the ground, okay? So the lower the bounce angle, the closer the leading edge sits to the ground, and the more skill required to catch the ball cleanly, okay? So we use the bounce and chipping as forgiveness. This really helps us. You can even hit a little bit behind the golf ball and still get good contact because the bounce doesn't dig. The bounce skips off the ground as we're going through. So let me show you an example. So let's say we get set up for a chip shot, and we're set up like this. We have the shaft leaning forward. That really exposes the leading edge. So when we go to hit a shot like this, the leading edge has a chance to really start digging into the ground. And that's how you can flub a chip shot. You know, when you hit the ground behind it and it only goes a few feet in front of you, we don't want that. Chipping can be a lot easier if you engage the bounce of your club. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So in order to get the bounce a little more engaged, we're going to have the shaft of the club a little bit more straight up and down. We don't want it leaning too far forward. If you want to hit the ball lower, use a different club, okay? So we're going to have the club straight up and down, and then you can also open the club face a little bit too, because that helps expose the bounce even more. So if you have the club straight up and down, and you have the club face twisted a little bit open, whenever I make a practice swing, you can hear the club hitting the ground. And if you hear a thump, that's the bounce being engaged. We don't want that leading edge hitting the ground too hard. It makes it very difficult to be consistent with your chip shots, okay? So let's hit one here to this first flag about 15 yards away, okay? Ball position is gonna be like front middle. I'm gonna have the club face slightly open, and the butt of the club is going to be pointing right to the center of my body. Now what's important is that when I come through, I return the club back to that same setup position. If you go here and then go to hit it with your hands leaning forward, the leading edge is exposed again and you run into the risk of stabbing that shot into the ground. So we're going to have it set up at the middle of the body, club face slightly open, and I make sure I return it back to the same position, and I get much better contact on the chip shots whenever you do that, okay? That one landed a little bit short. We're gonna add a little bit more power and see if we can get that closer to the hole, but the contact was really good. I'm gonna see if I can even hit a little bit behind it to show you the forgiveness of your wedge whenever you are using the bounce. So I'm gonna set up a little bit further behind the golf ball. Same thing, club straight up and down, and the face a little open. I'm gonna hit slightly behind it, and the club still skips and goes right underneath the golf ball, okay? So it's a really useful tool there whenever you get comfortable using the bounce of your wedge. It helps you so much whenever it comes to being consistent, especially with some tight lies around the green, and it's forgiveness. Use the bounce, it's there for a reason, okay? So again, we don't wanna get set up for these chip shots like this anymore. If you wanna hit it low, you can use a different club. You can always just use a 9-iron or something, okay? But if we've got a wedge in our hand with that sharp leading edge and you wanna make sure that you're gonna get good contact, let's go ahead and set up this way, okay? Club straight up and down, face a little open. I like to lean a little bit on my left. And again, we're just making sure that we return this club back to that same setup position. So we're here and there. Oh yeah, get in there. Ooh, all right.